Here we go. Spirit T side to kick things off. Plenty of utility. Some Young and Chopper. And they're not waiting around. They're getting straight into the action here. Jumping with his back and still gets the headshot onto Keto. Xantares at the back of the site gets bulldozed by Dexter. Now Tabson is doing a bit of damage, but he's been shut down by Some Young. It's on Searson at range with the USP, trying desperately to tap him for some headshots, but missing and getting punished. Spirit off to a start of dreams as they pick up the first.
I love the way that Mir sort of shimmied into the site. Like that was obviously to try and avoid some of the flashes, but it looks so ridiculous, like seeing that walk in. But again, he makes it work. He gets them one of the opening picks, and they are off to a flying start. And I'm actually glad to see them start over on this T side. I think that'll work nicely for Spirit. Getting these sort of timing peaks. I think that this is a map that very much works for them. Again, we're going to see Magix come into the fray on this map. I think it was the initial map where they actually took him out for Patsy. And that was one of the main changes that we saw that I didn't agree with. Like, not even the fact that they subbed out Dexter. That I kind of was okay with in a sense on Inferno. But I think Magix is a real big player when it comes to this map.
Searson has been winged with his scout, misses the second shot, or at least he didn't miss, but he didn't get the frags. And Torres picks up 2 before he's silenced, but Tabson is now making moves around the back. Tizian taking down Dexter, forces Some Young's presence to go backwards, and in doing so, he catches that flank in effect. Tizian and Keto have higher HP. Actually, both of them have more HP than the 2 remaining Spirit players combined, but there's still time. They don't have to fully commit to A site. They may be a bit weary of a potential flank, but it's not forthcoming just yet.
Big should have this. Tizian does well. The reason I was laughing is because it did seem like Tabson was lining up that headshot for ages just to have his teammate steal the kill away. 35 seconds left. The cross coming. Tizian in a prime position, but he actually goes peeking past. He doesn't realize, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Magix makes his cross and leaves Keto alone. But we've already seen some Deagle magic from him throughout the series so far. One of the main change round, and it's an instant headshot, one that's not needed. A single bullet is all he needs to close this out, and they will get themselves the Force Fire victory. A free AK and a little bit of BM thrown in, and now Team Spirit, they're going to have to force themselves.
See the emotion come out of Keto. Shouting, screaming, rallying the troops. Bit of frustration maybe just being valved off. And now Spirit will be going back in with a buy. Scout and pistols in play. Big sending 2 players straight away to B site, and incendiary to stop any potential push. And behind it, tons of damage from Keto. Takes a little bit on his own, but he has forced back the T's. And with Spirit only having 1 smoke left at their disposal, I'm not too sure what they can possibly get done here, Tom. I mean, maybe they could go for like a wraparound smoke, but they know at least 1 player is situated on the site, and it stands to reason there'd be 2 over there. So I might just be hoping for the best and seeing if Big make an overextension and gift wrap them a free kill.
Oh, the man they planned to put pressure on looked like it was going to be Xantares. But in fact, bomb starts making its way into short. Now with Tabson on Goose, I was going to say it would deny any chance of a plant, but he actually goes for a more aggressive stance here. And his rotation into middle could actually end up being a burden for them, because although Searson is here, he does only have a scout. And for 3 of the players, that probably wouldn't be enough for a kill. Good timing on the incendiary, however, and they probably hear the damage that's being put down onto Mir, so this will give him a chance to reposition back to the site.
30 seconds coming up. Still have that smoke and toss it on catwalk and at least bypass a little bit of time. That made me a bit nervous seeing Tabson take his hand off the mouse momentarily, but now he's got it back on there. Searson with the first point of call. Good flashbang. Spray is in. Tabson only gets 1. Dexter in the meanwhile puts him down with the scout headshot, and that's bought up enough time and enough space to get the plant down for Spirit. Now in decent post-plant positions. They're all stuck on the site, and that's going to work against them for sure. 2 players low, but no HEs to toss onto the site with. Chopper instantly goes in for the peak, but he has been dealt with swiftly alongside Some Young. A successful retake on Big, but it is at the cost of 2 players and a bomb plant for Spirit.
That was still a full investment, though. Like, that was everything that Spirit had. Still, it didn't look amazing from their side of things with the finances they had available, but managing to quell that fairly easily. Good job from Searson as well to land the remaining shots with the scout. Like, basically just stayed alive for a very long amount of time and ended up with the 3 kills that ended the round. It got a little bit dicier than they probably would have liked, but hey, it's still going to be a fantastic economy for them going forward. And now the T's, maybe a deagle or 2. Other than that, not going to be much at all.
Just waiting by as well, Spirit, seeing if maybe some middle aggression comes in. But Big have a good read of the situation economically. There's no need to push in. At range, they will always have the advantages. Not even a smoke or a flash for the cross, so can't help but feel that this is going to be a massacre the second that Spirit show their hand. Maybe they can get the timing play, though, because currently nobody for the CTs is even looking at Catwalk. They come back in. Now Searson's going to spot them making a move across. He's got 2 beautiful headshots, but he will get put down afterwards, and that's a bomb plant more than likely. And considering the lack of investment, that should be good enough. Actually, maybe I spoke too soon. The bomb is only just starting to make a move across to the site. tabseN has denied the life of Dexter and the bomb as well. I thought Spirit had that bomb down, but no. Big, good counter utility tossing in the incendiaries and finished them off.
Yeah, it does mean for this round that there might be a piece or 2 missing. More importantly, no real grenades or pistol or anything like that for Dexter. He'll just have the AWP Kevlar and a trusty decoy to go alongside it. And for the CT side, as said, their money's pretty decent for what they initially had. Dexter not going to spot any information for his squad, but in the meantime, they're going aggressively pushing out long. Magix will fight for this time and time again, but he loses the battle. He was left alone, and tabseN destroys him on long. It leaves the initial play diminished. And although Mir is pushing and probing towards the tunnels, there's not going to be too much contact you'd expect for the next 30 seconds or so.
Barring the pistol round, it has been quite slow on the side of Spirit, especially in these rifle rounds. Understandably, a lot on the line. Position in the grand finals up for grabs. And I can't help but feel that if they continue to play this slowly, it will play into Big's hands. Still early days, of course, but something I'm going to be keeping my eye on as the rounds progress. Smoke down onto the middle portion of the map, but it's not really covering off anything. It's allowing the CTs to actually go for a peek, and the peek is good. It does yield 1 frag before Mia comes back, a bit of damage to Sundar Young, but more importantly, it has expended the rest of the utility that Spirit had. And Mia, through the smoke, comes out second best to the hands of Zantares. They did take their 2 B players off the site, though, to deal with that threat, and in doing so, they've both been picked off. So Sundar Young should be able to get a bomb plant, and at that point with the AWP, anything is possible.
I think he expects them to be a little bit closer than they are and realizes that finding a kill here is going to be so important. The problem is he's allowed time for Tizian to rotate in, and while he'll take the kill nonetheless. A nice attempt, a bit of damage, but ultimately it's another round for Big, and they're starting to string them together. I'll wait until 5-1 though, Vince. That's now my line being drawn to see if Team Spirit are going to have a good half, because normally at 5-1 is where they seem to start playing. It's a bit of a weird thing that's happened so many times throughout this tournament, but it is a running theme.
Yeah, it is. We've had so many comebacks and vast leads kind of dwindle. I think a part of that is we've actually casted a lot of Spirit over the duration of this tournament, and I think one of the stats that Elliot brought up is they've not got less than 11 rounds in any map they've played. At no point have they been hammered. They've always been in the games that they've been playing, and considering some of the opposition they've been up against, very impressive indeed. Could this be the first time where they just get battered when it really counts? Searson had much more impact early on. We did say that it would be a battle of the AWPers. Dexter hasn't really had the opportunity to pick up the AWP yet, but he does have a scout at least, as Antares is watching down middle. Although it's been flirted with by Mia, doesn't seem to be any follow-up from the rest of his teammates just yet.
Well, the smoke thrown out might just be a bit of bait. You can see tabseN start to fire through. 12 bullets left in the clip, and Searson actually watching over towards long instead. Now the execution begins, but they're going to try and pincer in. However, Tizian stronghold and the smoke falls after. Now it comes down to just the players on short, and this allows for a re-peek from Searson from a different angle instead. The bomb's been dropped, but he is ready and waiting. It doesn't seem like the last map. This man is just not missing a beat. And now we look towards Dexter and Chopper. What can they realistically do with the weaponry they have? It looks like absolutely nothing, as Searson will slaughter them all.
Yeah, that's much more like it from the star player of Big, or at least one of the star players. They have the luxury of having multiple of them, given whatever day on map it currently is. It's a really good hold by Searson. And honestly, Spirit, I don't want to say they're a bit toothless. I don't want to say that they're necessarily like lacking all of the pieces, but I'm starting to get that bit of concern that maybe their T side isn't as powerful as I was expecting. However, it has been early days, but this is where I think we're going to get a few more answers to those questions. Dexter has an AWP finally. He has the ability to put some serious pressure down and show his presence once more, but he hasn't really been afforded the chance. Good counter flashes force him away from the tunnels.
I really like the way that Big used their utility to give their players angles to take peeks. Okay, what is that from Searson? He's just ripped them a new one. They're trying to find out if he can actually just see straight through the door at this point, because he's going back for more, feeling confident, it's clear. I'm waiting for Sum Dayoung to take the peek. They're throwing everything they have to try and stop this man, and he's going to push. This could be his undoing. If he gets away with it, it's a huge play. If he falls, it could be the problem of the round. And interestingly, the rest of the team have actually gone onto the A site and got themselves a plant. Meanwhile, Searson's still fighting in the smoke.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All of that early impact he had has been now mitigated, negated across, and now Spirit have the advantage. Maybe overstaying his welcome. The rest of Big did succumb, though, to the pressure. Tizian keeping them alive in this round, but Xantares' life has now been put out. And with that, Tizian pretty much has to save the AWP. And that is such a surprise to him. When you see two wallbang shots like that, like highlight reel-worthy stuff from Searson, and they still lose the round, you kind of sat there scratching your head a little bit, wondering where they went wrong.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where, like, I can say I fell victim to this as well. Like, you're so focused on what's just happened, what's going on mid, whereas in the meantime, Team Spirit were not. Like, they were not sat there dwelling on what had just happened. They went through and actually took a play onto the site and got the bomb down while all of that was going on, while we were watching them battle within the smoke. And then it does help the fact that holding off the rotation actually went very well, but he's back once again. However, Magix now has an AWP of his own, taken off Dexter just for the moment. I imagine we're going to see that trade back.
Well, Chopper and Tabson's lives have been cut abruptly short in round 8. Could very well favor Spirit if they can thin out the herd over on Big. Some aggressive angles being established, though. Quito getting outside of B with the AWP, peering in towards the tunnel entrance point. The thing that worries me a little bit is he's not fully wide swinging this, so it's less of an angle. So if he gets double peaked, there's very low chance that he's going to get more than one kill here. And when he's the last line of defense on B, that just effectively gives a free bomb across. Now, he may get a 2-for-1, and that could be good enough. But let's see how Spirit come into this. They haven't gone for this peak just yet. Dexter is watching it, though, eagle-eyed. He's going to be going for that wide swing momentarily, with potentially Sum Dayoung, but now the bomb is starting to traverse away. So maybe he does get away with this, Quito. Maybe he can get that pick, but also he just seems to realize he has this sixth sense that he's about to get pressured, and so he falls back. He gets the early intel, keeps himself alive. Smoke's been put down. He's played this flawlessly. Another smoke's now been put into effect. He changes up his angles because he's got some support, but now Spirit look to bulldoze and crush their way into the site. Quito at the back, couldn't really see. There were fire and flames in his eyes. The incandescence has now been dulled down with the bomb plant momentarily. 3-on-3. As the CT's all moving through from middle side, they have plenty of utility, including 2 incendiaries, a flash, and a smoke. That should be more than good enough to set themselves up for the retake, but they've lost Searson and they've lost Tizian, and it's all down to Xantares. And whereas they had plenty of utility before, now they have nothing, and he is all alone, stranded on an island, stuck with Sum Dayoung, and Mir's AKs pointed in his direction, and the firing range and firing squad comes good. Spirit pick up their third.
It is always interesting to me, especially watching both of these teams, how comfortable they are letting that clock run low. Because it was one of those things that we critiqued a little bit when it came to Spirit previously. Like, they seem to run out of time a couple of times, but they're still willing to go back to this strategy. And even with, say, 15, 20 seconds left on their clock, they're still willing to go for that same execution, take their time, not rush checking angles. And that was a very good take from them in the end. This time, though, they're just going to brute force it. Up against the pistols, there is a man holding with the Deeg, and Suntaras still able to land shots. Actually, Dexter, he's caught in no man's land. That could be an AWP gone.
AWP has been dropped. And our Big trying to wrap around the backside of the spawn, run into Chopper. He will not miss out on that chance to get his fourth. Searson, 120 ADR, but only a USP for this round. Very good so far in it, but tabseN has the AWP trying to save it elsewhere. That's the important piece of this puzzle. If Searson can get an exit frag and potentially get an AK out of this, that'll be a nice little effort, but it does mean that Spirit will be one round behind now. It's not really an angle you expect to check, but Young still doing his due diligence. And that affords him the luxury of bypassing a death. 5-4 the score. tabseN saving the AWP is pretty big. It does mean that Searson doesn't have to go in for glass cannon. He can get a fair amount of utility.
Yeah, it's definitely a good save, and it's one of those risks of leaving your AWP in the top of mid. Now, I said it previously, 5-1 is normally where we see Spirit get going. They've won the last 3 rounds, but as you sort of mentioned, this is where it might get a little bit tougher. And Dexter has been quiet so far. This is one of the things I've really been enjoying. They're using HEs to actually get across mid. Magic's, well, Tizian's blind eventually. I guess it kind of works out, although the flash might have just been a little bit too late. tabseN re-aggressing, takes control of the pit, and he has Searson alongside him, who snaps to the edge of the smoke. Leaves Young dead on the floor, and Dexter can't really help out his teammate, leaving Chopper completely isolated. Mir, though, quickly responds as he just runs down mid. Oh no, what just happened from tabseN?
They've just allowed Team Spirit out of nowhere to get back into this round. They had no right in doing so. Searson did so much work down on long. They funneled away this mid aggression only to throw it away. Now, the round's not done just yet. There's every chance that Big come back in again, but Spirit looking like they'll have a post plant. They have more HP collectively. They still have some utility, including a molly that's just been tossed out. Can Searson stop the bomb plant? He's not even going to attempt to. He wants to keep himself stealthy, incognito, so he can pounce in. He nearly lines them up for 2 for 1, but he does get put down by Dexter, who then gets finished off by Keto. My God, I thought Searson had just pulled off the collateral of dreams, but instead, it will be Big taking the round all the same.
A little bit close for comfort on both parts. Like, Team Spirit definitely could have had that round, and, well, we could have seen a collapse. But again, it is Searson stepping up. He's been huge in this map so far, and that was the thing. In the last map, it was uncharacteristic of him. Like, he was quiet. It's just facts at this stage. But in comparison, well, currently top of the server, no one really competing, and Dexter, unfortunately, has not showed up just yet.
Yeah, it has been the same story, but just reversed. Oh, Magic, hello. I was waiting for him to have his impact, and there we have it. 2 massive entries. Just runs out alone. 1 flashbang's all he needs, and AK headshots delivered back to back. Chopper, he'll chime in. Big's economy in the bin. They have to pretty much hold on to this. I think Tizian may be expecting that a player was pushing him quickly, but the angle didn't help him out with that HE. And now Searson just desperately trying to hold on to his AWP. He's done a good job so far. There's another pick onto Dexter. 3 more to go. And having a look at the economy over on Spirit, it's not like they can afford to throw all these guns away either, Tom. I mean, really, it's only Mir and Dexter that are looking okay-ish. So they can't really afford to throw any more away. I think they'll be playing this one a little bit more passively as a result.
I think they're hoping they can somehow catch him up. He is very much in the open. Timing could be against him, but never mind. Gets it perfectly onto Young, and he's made this very, very costly indeed. It will be a 5th round, and of course, financially bigger in the mud. He's going to be the only one with anything, but honestly, with his performance so far, that might actually be enough. Now, this is one of the reasons, like, when we see, like, Patsy subbed in, again, I've not really got anything against Patsy at all. He's a young up-and-coming player. He's only 17 years of age, so no doubt he is one to watch for the future. The problem is, you lose someone like that. Oh, what a sick shot, though, from Searson. They keep doing that. I keep trying to mention it, and then something happens. They throw the HEs instead of a smoke to allow the cross, and then it allows Searson to peek behind it. And he's so good at just landing the shots on the player in top mid. In fact, they force behind this AWP because they have faith that he can win it for them.
I'd be right alongside any of that faith. He has been an absolute monster these last 6 to 12 months, but Keto's Deagle is no slouch. That's plenty of firepower. Team Spirit have Magix and Chopper. And that's it. Smoke and a Molotov, they at least have control over the bomb. They'll be headed towards the catwalk side, but it's that man against Searson who has been everywhere, omnipresent with his AWP. Maybe called into play again. They may not want to throw any kind of nades and somewhat alert them to their presence. And in doing so, nearly get the upper hand onto Searson. He only has 27 HP left. He's waiting for that cross. They've smoked the cross. They can at least try and get a bomb plant bare minimum. But plenty of grenades have been tossed towards the site now. 2 flashes still at their disposal. 30 seconds. Chopper tries to rummage around the CT side, desperately to win the round. But with his death, it leaves Magix all alone. He gets tagged from Searson and then pummeled by Tabson. 7-5 lead.
That's what I mean, though. Like, he actually takes a little bit of damage from those HEs each time he goes for that peak, but it just almost shrouds the vision of the opposition enough, so they're like, okay, maybe he's just crossing. It's not. He's taking the fight into mid each time. Now, the economy of Spirit is in a very interesting spot. Now, Dexter will have enough, potentially, to buy an AWP in the next round. Magix won't even have enough to buy at all. So he's invested the same amount as everyone else, but just didn't have that expendable income to invest in the first place. So we'll see if that bites them a little bit. Curious as well that the rest of the team are all in tunnels while the bomb is sat at top mid. So they've got to be a little bit careful, but I assume this means it's going to wrap around into some sort of A take.
Two smokes and a few flashes still available to Spirit. And with these pistols, looks like it could be a wrap. Smoking onto the CT side, also smoking out of middle, and force them to quickly wrap 3 of these players out there. And they can get up close before Xantares can see them, but Xantares, bit of labored spray, they've both gone down. Tabson has to try and salvage this quickly while the rest of his teammates scamper back into position. Can soften a couple of these targets, that could be good enough, but the bomb's already crossed, so there'll be no freebies. You know, free meal here for Tabson. He's gonna have to pay with it in blood, and Magix will put him down. And with the life of Tabson being taken away, I doubt that Big go for this. They will have to save. And that just came out of nowhere, Tom. You expect Xantares to land those 2 kills every day of the week.
Ed. Definitely uncharacteristic, that's for sure. I sort of questioned the investment from Magix, but, well, it definitely ended up being worth it. Another impactful kill from him, and, well, Searson just going to hold on to his AWP. You definitely don't want that going missing for the next couple of rounds. 18 kills so far in this first half. And I have to say, actually, one of the things that's been quite surprising is I feel like Spirit have had most of their success over on this B side, mainly because of how impactful Searson has been. But it is unusual how, I don't want to say easy, but how successful they've been at actually getting openers on that side of the map. It's normally very, very difficult.
Yeah, for the longest time, B was basically a fortress. It was mainly just an A-hit simulating Searson. As good as he's been, does connect the shot, but he does also get picked off by Mia. Even trade, though, Tizian's there to pick up the pieces. Xantares tagged down to 47. They're trying a different look on this B defense, which is more mid-centered, trying to bait some Da Young out into the open, but he's not falling for that trap. So damage has been inflicted on both sides of the teams. So much time still available to Spirit, and Magix again taking the head of Tabson. Tizian did spot the shoulder peak of Chopper. If he overextends and falls down, that could be the round that goes with him, and indeed he shall. Xantares now needs to do so much by himself. It's a mile away from Keto, who is trying desperately to wrap around towards the T side. So Xantares in a bit of an off angle, in a bit of an awkward position, is at least going to have the luxury of those smokes keeping him safe from one of these two angles, and now he won't get peeked from Catwalk either, so he can use himself as that pivot point for Keto. Chopper's been found and fragged, but unless Xantares can get a kill quickly, I'm not sure they'll necessarily fully bite down on this, because their economy for the last round of the half would be terrible. So they need a pick quickly. Time is ticking away. They do have a kit and an incendiary, which has now been tossed onto car. No one's home. Magix still alive at the back of the site, going to be able to print out some frags and print out the round in moments, and indeed he will. Xantares goes down, and there will be no weapons to play with. The only thing they're going to be able to buy here are probably pistols and maybe a scout.
Again, we're seeing a strong resurgence from Team Spirit. It is honestly so odd that a team can go down 5-1 this many times and still manage to look strong towards the latter stages of the half. Real resilience, and oh, you never know, maybe if they work on pistol and conversion rounds, they could be a real contender. Mir is going to go running out long, but there are plenty of players here waiting for him. His teammate goes running through the entirety of a Molotov, so a lot of low HP, but just wanting to try and be a support system for Mir. Eventually Chopper will fall back. Some Dayong, I have no idea how he's not managed to win that duel.
That flash was perfect. Jason couldn't see a single thing. Dexter tosses it in and will be picked up. Chopper and Mia have been the assailants. Keto now waiting for that push. There are going to be 4 players up against them. 2 of them are a shot away from death, it should be mentioned, and especially if you hit them in the head. Chopper was one of those weakened players. Now they're moving on to Keto. Nice first flick, but ultimately a bridge too far. And Xantares on 19 HP, and with an AK underway, misses his chance, and Spirit will lead going through to the second half. We need to crown our first grand finalist, and we'll find out which of these 2 it's going to be after this break.
When it comes to roster changes, but will we have a twist when it comes to our first grand finalist? Can Team Spirit get this over the line? Will Vince forgive me for that awful pun? Find out in this half.
No, I won't, Tom. But we will find out.
Oh, I thought you meant no, they won't come. Okay.
we will find out which these 2 teams does make it across. Spirit with a slight advantage, but Dust 2 is one of those maps. It's one of those maps that T's absolutely can have tons and tons of success. If anything, maybe it's slightly skewed in favor of the T half now. And a big will be tossing in their smoke for the cross. Not fully pushing behind it. Now the second smoke has been put into place. The wall has been built. And they look to try and bypass any stray bullets from CT side. Dexter's making moves. He hasn't had those layers of impact that we talked about. He has been a little bit disappointing, but on the CT side, a very different static approach could be the cure and give him tons more opportunities for frags. Mia will be leading the charge towards the site itself, turning into the entry frag, but it's Magix that picks up the first. Lots of damage has been inflicted towards him. Mia runs about ammunition and is picked off as well, but Magix does come to the call of his fallen teammate. It is big, though, that are holding the line by and large in a 1-on-3 with Chopper on no health. 15 remains, and he wants to just save the kit. He's out of there. Big ties back up again.
Yeah, an important pistol round to take, no doubt. And, well, for all the things we've sort of been joking about throughout this match, we've got second half tabs and we've got T-sides on Tares both coming up at exactly the same time. Searson's been popping off thus far. If he could even keep close to that level going into the second half, I would worry for Team Spirit. But we do know these second rounds from them are normally pretty damn close. Even the odds are starting to reflect how ridiculously close this series could be. 8-8, scoreline equalized. Do they have any sort of response for what was the pistol round for B?
A ton of flashes outside on long. Does afford them passage into pit. And Dexter, joined by Magix on the site. You have a scout and a P250 between them. This is a really important smoke as well. It does somewhat alleviate the pressure and allows you to relocate into the left-hand side of the smoke back to the barrels. Can mess with the vision quite a bit. That HE chunks the HP bars of Quito and Zantares. And now there's more CTs have joined the fray. Searson, though, perforates the head of Mia through the smoke, and Zantares getting himself one. They're still yet to get the bomb planted down, but that will come in a few moments' time. And it's been a valiant attempt, and actually, never mind that. Not just valiant, but it's actually potentially going to be a successful attempt. Because it's gone down to a 2-on-1. Quito's been scouted down by Dexter, and Sumdai Young is still alive with his 2 frags. And Searson, the hero of the first half, that has to once again get big out of a horrible situation. The bomb's not even planted for him either, and they do have a kit, but it's not even required. They get the full 10-second defuse, and Spirit's force buy has crushed big again.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. There's almost a part of me that wonders if they should just eco pistol rounds and then just buy up in this one. That is a ridiculous shot from something. In fact, both of those are just pixel shots coming out from the man himself. And Sumdai Young, this time it's not him. 9-8, lead taken back for Team Spirit, but there is a force on the other side. Dexter actually has enough money in this round to buy up an AWP. Now, normally I'd be a little bit worried about the lack of head armor going into a round like this, but actually, if he gets headshotted by any of the weapons currently on the T side, it wouldn't matter anyway.
Spirit basically dug themselves back in with some crazy 1Ds from Sumdai Young. Will it be on the receiving end? Dexter, now with the AWP train down middle, will not miss his chance on Taquito. Forces them away. Big, having a flash through middle, trying to give them the luxury of crossing up Xbox onto Catwalk. But I don't think it's going to get any easier for them here, Tom, because they're about to walk into Chopper with a Galil. And additionally, they have Magix to deal with who's down in the pit. An Incendiary also available to be tossed down onto Catwalk. So they're going to be probably executing onto the site with very little time remaining if they do fully respect this molly. They're actually going to push straight past it. HG tossed behind it. Now Chopper, who's done a lot of damage with his grenades, just has to stay alive. Even if they get the plant down big, it's not as if they can have a great buy into the next round. Just make sure you play together as one united force and get this round done cleanly. They're still on the site posted up with Zantares going for these dry peaks with the Deagle. They're all clumped together, and Zantares has put down 2 Deagle frags. It seems like they will live by the Deag, but die by it too. It's not done just yet. The deal has not been signed fully, but they have cashed in with frags, and now that Galil goes into the hands of Zantares, who's looking to spray them back in, and Dexter's AWP is all that remains. Certainly not tailor-made for these kind of positions. The time is too low. He's gonna die. They pick up the AWP, and Big return the favor in style.
Oh, it looked like Spirit had played that one correctly with just how patient they were, but there was nothing they could do versus some of these shots. The first, again, just as crispy as the rest of the round for Zantares, and that's the one thing that's truly so enjoyable about this series is both teams just have true star players that can get them out of any position. And now, well, this is the cardinal sin, Vince. You've bought an AWP, you've not succeeded with the AWP, and now you've given it over to Searson.
Yeah, a Searson in form. A Searson with a point to prove after that nuke. And he certainly dotted the I's and crossed the T's as far as I'm concerned. That is so grim as well, because not only does it, as you say, give them a huge power spike, but it actually puts Spirit a few steps behind it. It's going to be a while before Dexter has his hands on another AWP, assuming that they don't just pull off the miracle here with the Deagles again. And Mia has been put down. They push through the Molotov, which is going to cost Tabson his life. And now it's been smoked. And with a minute left, Big realize they don't have to force onto the B side of the map. They don't have to run through that smoke. They can just relocate. They can take their sweet time.
Oh, the crossover into mid is going to be spotted and actually hands away another kill. Turning this back into a 3v3. Getting their way through long, but notice the push that's actually coming through. One player making a way onto short. They actually don't have any smokes. So making this cross is not going to be easy. They utilized a lot of them in the early stages of their push. And now the flank coming in as well. This could be perfect for Chopper, but he's whiffed his shots completely. The Deag can give, but it could also take away. He's going to get Molotov'd out, but he is actually buying a lot of time. There's only 20 seconds left. They have to get a move on, and now Magix has made his way onto the site. Just holding. He does not miss. He punishes this push, and there's 10 seconds. They have to kill him, and they will. Just about getting it through a big, and finally, we get a couple of rounds streaked together, but damn, was it close.
Oh man, you saw Chopper. I feel so bad for him. Like, obviously it is a whiff, there's no two ways about it, but you saw his instant reaction afterwards. He kind of slumped into his chair, he looked deflated, because he knew at 9-9, grand finals looming, deciding map, just how integral, just how important that round was. If he connects that Deeg with such low HP on a couple of those players and such low time, that should have been the round done to him. That should have been it, and he knows it. And he has to stew on that now. He has to dwell on that as Spirit go back into an eco.
Well, not overly surprised by the statistics we've seen, but I don't think it will be true anymore. Searson, he walks into the Orpa's paradise, and this is where he has started to shine. It's going to be a 5-stack on B. And by the looks of it, bigger going long. So potentially one of the more boring rounds you're going to see in Counter-Strike, unless, of course, we can get some miracle shots. Some Young's invested into a Zeus. I think it was Spiddy, right, who had the ridiculous Zeus stats, was over 100 Zeus kills throughout his career. We'll see if Some Young can try and catch up a bit.
I think it was 101. Nice spray transfer in the end. Searson actually gets 3 AWP shots, which is quite surprising considering they all got peaked one by one. Yeah, collateral kill will always do that. 26 and 10, and we're not even close to being done yet. 30 looks like a formality for him at this stage.
Yeah, the other thing as well is he is currently 10 kills above anyone else in the server. So it's not even like there's a battle across the board. It's literally everybody else, and then there's Searson on a pedestal. A perfect time to show up when his teammates need it the most. And, well, it's no doubt right now he is the reason why they have the lead. Switching to the other team, and you can almost guarantee Spirit will be running away with this. So, superb performance from the star performer, the top 10 player in the world of last year. Glad to see him shine. But it's not done yet. Team Spirit, you mentioned a stat of them, what was it, at least 11 rounds on every single map? Well, they're only at 9, so we know that there's a couple more to come. However, this buy is not the best. No AWP, no kit, utility minimal. And what they do have, I think they're going to try and hold on to as long as humanly possible with a minute left. We're just seeing big, almost prod and probe, maybe try and bait out some of what they have, or find if there is someone getting a little bit cheeky, a little bit aggressive around the map.
Because of the lack of utility as well, they've completely foregone middle. They've given this up entirely, Spirit, but fortunately, Big are playing this one very slowly, which kind of plays into their hands. The lack of utility is no longer as much of a concern. They have enough with that incendiary, but they are being pincered through, and the incendiary, unfortunately, was over on A. It wasn't on the B side of the map. Mia, though, does stand up for one, but both the pieces of B have fallen down, and this is where you're eyeing up for a save. This is where you just need to hold on to what little you have, because ultimately, if you don't, you'll have absolutely nothing to play with in the next round. At least this gives you a chance. It may be a small one, but it gives you a chance to dictate your own fate.
I wonder how long tabseN's going to wait as well, because their money is fine. Like, Searson over 6 grand is going to get close to the 10k marker after the round ends. tabseN as well will be well endowed, to say the least. So you want to see them try and take some of these weapons away. I appreciate them playing safe if not, but I think they can afford to lose an extra weapon here, and him being perfectly healthy, they're actually going to just play it safe. I'm surprised. They'll allow Spirit to get away with some weaponry. Now, juggling weapons around to get a buy in this round, I just don't think it's worth it. Like, they don't really come in with a much better buy. Utility will be improved, but if anything, weaponry will either be the same or worse. And actually, Spirit are going to continue to go for this. I'm going to be honest. I think this is an oversight.
Yeah, this definitely not an easy decision, is it? This could make or break Spirit. I mean, this for me is the most important moment of this entire semi-finals. Spirit lose. I feel like there's already one step in the grand finals for Big. If they win this, they're back into the match and with full swing. So such an important next minute 30 potentially to come up, and already Big have bypassed so much of Long. There are already 3 players waiting to burst out there past the grenades. They peek a little bit prematurely just to catch her off the CTs, but Magic's still alive on Gandalf, trying to survive desperately, tosses in the Molotov. 13 HP left for him and 36 on Dexter. Big still yet to get on the side, but now they're brute force their way on there. And its injury to greet them hasn't fully extended and won't deter the bomb plant. The 4 players, pardon me, on both teams still alive.
Searson's wrap could be everything. There's all 4 players currently set up on short. They're lining up grenades, and he's looking to come in from behind. The bomb won't be planted for him, so he needs his teammates to buy some time, and they're doing just that. Here comes the peek, but he misses his shot, and actually Dexter's still reloading. He goes for the re-peek, and Searson gets away with just 1 HP. Tizian, in the meantime, will hold the line, and he ends up getting a triple kill. It got hectic, that's for sure, but Big, they cling on in this situation. 13-9. Money once again an issue, and they're still going to continue to purchase. So clearly feeling they can get this done with limitations to their purchases, but I feel like they might be forcing their way out of the game.
Yeah, my concern was obviously they could buy again in this round, but it's not going to be a good buy at all. You're thinking they probably want to get a double AWP as Dexter's solo AWP gets tagged down to 16. Chopper's taking some aggression. We can go back onto that point in a few moments, but we're going to see action soon. Chopper's getting straight up there. We haven't seen this aggression yet, so I am a big fan of it. I just wonder if Big realize this is a possibility, because Tizian is watching mid. He seems to anticipate this is always going to be possible, that eventually Spirit would just crack, that they would try and take the fight into their own hands, go out on their own sort of shield, as it were, on their own terms. But Chopper's not fully pushed behind this, and the issue is with his position now, this has a sell-by date on it because he's about to get flanked from lower tunnels. He still gets 1 though, before getting fragged down by Ketos, and Torres and Keto both chime in for 2 apiece, and now Spirit trailed by a player.
They tried something very audacious. I'm surprised Chopper even gets a kill in that round with the wraparound coming through tunnels. Dexter, very low. Flashbang is going to be enough for Searson to garner his 28th kill of the game, and Sum Da Young, a real chance in this round. Sure, Keto's a little bit low, but he doesn't have a kit, and likelihood is we'll just try and save the rifle. It's been 2 rounds back-to-back now that Spirit have come into things with severe limitations, weaponry not there, and sure, they're making these rounds costly, but that doesn't matter to Big. They're getting the numbers on the board. They're up to 14, and unless they're going to have the same sort of choke as Spirit have done previously in the tournament, and I will say, I don't think they will.
No, losing a couple of guns at this point is like slapping a 10,000 fine on a top tier team, isn't it, Tom? It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing at all. So Big don't care. And my issue before was, and I think it's a point that you were touching on, that these like limited buys where they are getting weapons but not much utility, they're not getting double AWPs, it hasn't been working for them. So something needs to change. And I thought they'd have taken that extra slap on the wrist, that they would have gone for double AWP. We know Magix can use the AWP. We know Mia can. Hell, anyone pretty much on the team can for Team Spirit. That was maybe their golden ticket back in. They've not done it. And now they're down to a scout, they're down to an M4, some deagles again. It's just been so brutal to watch them gradually slip and fade away out of this game.
On the other side of things, money booming, stars shining. Searson's barely died. Like, he's got $14,500. It's just been keeping himself alive and doing damage as he does. Almost handed a free kill. It's these battles for mid that just seem to play so firmly into his hands. Smoke going to be thrown deep. Sum Da Young, well, he needs to be aggressive in this round. Unless the plan is to keep the rifle into the next with their buy, he needs to be doing something almost ridiculously aggressive. And by the looks of it, it's actually the rest of the team that are going to do that instead. Zontares ready and waiting for the peak, but Magix is just so crisp with that deagle. He's going to start things off, gain a rifle. Dexter there with the scout, but it's some Young alongside him. Keto with a prominent trade and will continue to push Dexter in no man's land, but somehow still manages to take one with him. He's given his team a chance for sure, but with this man still standing, who knows what's going to happen.
It is the Grim Reaper on the server still. And he comes wearing a big jersey. Tabson, labored spray, finally gets it on the second time of asking and keeps their options available. With him showing his hand in middle, it actually draws away both of Spirit to deal with this threat. Catwalk and mid peaks, and that gives long control up, so Big can start to push through there. Now, they don't know this. The guaranteed certainty. They're running out of time. They have to hit A. That much is clear. Molly and Smoke for the cross. They couldn't get a double down. And Searston, uncharacteristic miss. And that cost them. That cost them everything. Magic's with a double spray. Now they can buy again, as we said before. Their economy is in great shape. But that was their chance to potentially end this match.
I never want to see Team Spirit play Dust 2 with this man not in the roster ever again. Like, there's been so much impact just coming from him alone. He's up to 21 kills. He won that round pretty much with a deagle and a retrieved AK-47. And now they get that double up. You mentioned it. And there is Dexter. He's been quiet. There's no doubt about it. It's not been his map so far, but it isn't done just yet. Now he's going to kick things off. The money, still very good for Big. They can buy in the next round anyway. And the Molotov forces Chopper forward. Sure, there was a flash behind it, but that's an easy kill for Searston.
The 30 bomb has been connected, but so has Mia. They line up. Dexter nearly gets the 2 for 1. He's done enough. The call will come through that there are more adversaries making their way up long. And the grenade touches down onto Tizian. Zantares tickling the bomb, draws out the CTs into the open, but be careful what you wish for, because now he's down to a third HP, and that third becomes 0. Spirit going from strength to strength. They are not done just yet.
Yeah, they'll keep the double orb setup as well, which did play a pretty big part in this round, and the German side are going to pick themselves up a pause. Right time to do it. Still in the lead, still in a strong commanding position, but still at a point where it could slip away. Spirit have hit their 11th round, so they continue that. That is a ridiculous stat throughout the tournament. Obviously, there is still the case that in some of the maps they've lost, they were in the lead and potentially should have closed them out. You never know. This could have realistically been a 2-0 with what happened earlier on Inferno. At the same time, for a team that's trying out a 6-man roster, for a team that's brought in a brand new AWPer and a young player, no matter what happens here, this has been a good tournament for them, but I am not counting them out just yet. And actually, it seems like we're not going to get in full investment here. A patient play coming out from the side of Big, as they will go for a few rifles here and there, but ultimately, they're saving for the next round.
We wondered, Tom, if they had bought themselves out of this, if Spirit had maybe put too much debt on the credit card. Turns out it was okay. Okay for the time being. And now it's Big. They're a little bit more disciplined with their purchase. Understandable. They have the lead. They don't have to go into anything too crazy. With 4 players on Catwalk and a 4th down on Tunnels, it seems like we are going to have an A hit with Dexter's AWP. Now, his stats aren't phenomenal, but I think these last few rounds, he's really shown us what he's capable of doing. There's another one to add to the mix. Flash up and over does stall them a little bit longer, but at bare minimum, this should be a bomb plant. And when they have a buy coming into the next round, and they still have a bit of firepower at their disposal, it's not a bad outcome for Big thus far.
Yeah, we know what they can do in afterplants as well. That's been the true strength of Big in comparison. Don't get me wrong, Spirit have proven themselves with firepower, but their retakes have not been great. Tabson also making things a bit awkward. This man only has a P250, but somehow has bought a lot of time for his teammates. However, it's not going to last much longer, it seems. Tizian into the 1 versus 3. First kill goes his way, and the problem now, it's not planted for him. Double Molotovs, he has to run through. He does somehow get the first kill and make things very costly indeed, but Magix will trade himself. 14-12, definitely not a comfortable round for Team Spirit, but it's a round.
Yeah, even though the bomb wasn't planted for Tizian, I actually really like what he did. He was trying to invoke a bit of chaos, you know, catch them off guard, and he nearly pulled it off. You know, he took down 2 players with him. It does make it more costly as well for Big, but now we're having a timeout call from Spirit, I believe, just to go over a few things. 2 rounds away from victory, 2 rounds away from the grand finals. I think it's safe to say, Tom, a lot of people expected Big to get to the grand finals. They expected Big to win the whole thing. I think it's only me and you that went for anyone other than Big for our predictions. So the fact that we're in a 3-mapper and Spirit are breathing down the necks of the favorites, I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Spirit for how they've played over the duration of this tournament.
Yeah,
it's an absolutely booming scene in terms of crazy amounts of talent, and I will have to wait and see if Spirit can secure their spot in the grand finals. We're going to find out now, Tom. The technical issue has come and gone, and now we're getting back into the thick of things with Big getting right down middle.
Searson 31-13. If somehow this did slip away, you just have to sort of sit there and think, what more could this man have done? And Magix, he's been one of the men on the other side that has been a highlight. A complete turnaround from what we saw yesterday. Truly enjoyable to watch. He's got them a man advantage once again. Chopper does a lot of damage, but has had to give up a little bit of control. The Molotov doesn't really force them back, and instead, we see the move from Tabson, trying to gain control of Short instead, but it seems Spirit are aware of their games. For now, might have to just be patience from Big as they wait for those smokes to fade. And interestingly, Vince, that is all the smokes and all the incendiaries the CT had, and they are gone within the first minute.
Yeah, that's a really good point to highlight. Now, they do have tons of flashes, which can mitigate some of those problems, but it is very difficult, especially when you've just lost Chopper. That makes Long that little bit more tentative. It forces Magix to hold his position, and now Dexter, who desperately would love to have a molly, would love to have a smoke right now, just has to play off this flashbang. Up he comes, that's the bomb down first. He has another flashbang, bounces it off the wall. Another peek could be coming in. Gandalf is clear, but Magix has it locked down. Tabson now showing his hand, but he's the last player left on 1 HP, and he gets finished off. I thought that was going away from Spirit, but my God, did they hold on.
Do you want to know an interesting thing about that? So the flash that he bounces off the wall didn't actually get Zontares. There's a pop flash here from Magix. He gets the assist. So while he's battling for Long, making sure that that's clear, he's also bouncing flashes in for his teammate. Sure, Dexter lands every shot that's put in front of him, but I'm just impressed with how he's been playing today. 14-13. Pistols are all that are available this time for Big. They had a bit of an extended break with a bit of a technical pause, it seems. However, it hasn't changed the way this game is going. This time, Team Spirit are on the comeback. This time, they're looking to try and take this from a deficit. Dexter starting to feel confident, this seems, but it's Magix again, just doing all of the work. He hits his 28th kill. He's genuinely catching up with Searson at this point, which is something that I didn't believe was possible.
Is this really happening, Tom? Are we really about to see Spirit cause the shock? Surely this would be the shock of the tournament. I couldn't imagine any other game that would shock us that much. I mean, maybe FPX beating EG, but even then EG haven't been in great form as of late. They've had their issues. Big coming to this tournament, the firm favorites for the vast majority of people.
What is that stat?
24
I like the line
kills
as well. 24-7. That's a nice touch. If only he'd been up 7 times, it would have been perfect. But hey, I'll take it. But yeah, 24 kills and dying just once to an AWP. It makes sense, but I don't think that'll be the same in this map. But he seems to have come alive at the perfect time. Like, I think when we were looking at Searson getting close to that 30, maybe 28 kills, he only had 10. Since then, he's had 8 kills in his favor. Now, Searson gonna look for that opener in mid. In the meantime, his teammates have taken some control in the tunnels. We have seen a lot of attempts towards A as a polar opposite to Spirit, who, as said, they had a real focal point on that B side when it came to their T side. Our early presence towards Longs, not really going to find anything this time for Magix, although Tizian may be trying to sell a little bit of a fake that there's more members of this roster here. However, in terms of the rotations, it seems like the team at this point they just have faith in him. And I don't blame them. They've not rotated anyone over to support. They've just got Magix. Okay, there's a lot of noise in that direction, but we trust you.
On the round of 29 in the semi-finals, last map, trust is so very valuable. You need to have faith in your teammates to hold their positions, to keep calm under duress. Clarity and chaos sometimes for some of the odd reasons, often throws in all the chaotic moments over on that catwalk area. We're already seeing 2 smokes tossed out there. Additionally, bomb under control on long, but time is going to be an issue. Big have been fairly slow for the most part. They have sped it up here and there, but it's another slow hit, and that walks into the arms of Dexter. Sirison, though, makes sure that he won't be getting 2. And the advantage does fall the way of Big. All 3 of Spirit moving together up middle. I think they're going to have 1 player going long and the other 2 on catwalk post-plant.
The question is, again, is this worth the fight? They need a kill relatively quickly. A 3 versus 4 situation is not ideal, and walking into the crosshair of Citizen has been pretty much a death wish. This time, though, it's Tizian to take the peak. Tabson tapping away, but not quite able to find anything. It doesn't matter. He's got the AWPer to support him. And I think Mir realizes this is a done deal. We need to keep that cash at least in a position where we can buy. Now, if he saves this gun, he can drop 2. Dexter can buy himself an AWP, and it really isn't too bad a situation. If he dies, a very different story.
Yeah, plus it's the AK, which is such a massively beneficial weapon on the CT side. Looks like he will survive, though. No one wanted to try and trade off against him. And again, Big's economy is not exactly fantastic, so they need to hold on to their guns. And here we go. The full 30 rounds, understandably. Spirit want to call their tactical timeout now, because everything is on the line. Grand final point for Big.
This is it. There was a fight back, but it comes down to what they can do in this round. Dexter going to be left with a glass cannon AWP. Utility not bad, but the weaponry of Sum Da-young has taken a hit, and there's only 1 kit in the hands of Mir, and he can be someone that plays relatively aggressive at times, so maybe not the man you'd want to have your 1 diffuser. On the other side, of course, everything that could be desired. Team Spirit looking to get another overtime. They played so many at this stage of the tournament. Searson, again, just spotting down mid, hoping to try and find a battle. His 33rd kill found in the last round, and Dexter not looking for the battle on long this time. They've sent Magix alongside Chopper, a fairly terrible twosome to face off against. But at the same time, no real information gathered just yet, and with the remaining T's just patiently waiting, they might be going for a slightly later take, which will leave Magix pretty much alone.
That's why we need to see that resolve of Spirit. A lot of these big players have been around the block multiple times. They've been in these kind of scenarios against some of the best teams on the planet. How does Spirit, a relatively new lineup, deal with it? Well, Magix decides, I'm going to just hold down left click and you're all going to die. Double spray through the smoke and Dexter will survive. Chopper now in a position to maybe put this round and regulation to bed. Searson, though, has been such a monster on this map. There's 1. He needs to pull off the 1v5 to take all of the chips home. He has a bit of time to play with. Can hear Sum Da-young making moves up, but misses the shot, and that's going to cost him. We head to overtime for a spot in the grand finals. Join us after the break to find out which of these 2 teams progresses.
Out that 30 rounds just wasn't enough, so we're gonna go for overtime. Team Spirit facing off against Big. This time Spirit actually on the comeback train. A bit of a different story to what we've seen from them throughout the tournament. The question is, can they keep this going? No worries about money anymore, so the AWP will come in, and actually a second for Sum Da-young. Now they've been spotted, but what a shot from Keto. Not gonna give Dexter the chance to play an impact in this first round of overtime.
Interestingly as well, in terms of regulation, both sides were very even. It was 8-7, 8-7. So it's not as if one side is going to have more value in terms of rounds. So early on, Spirit losing the first player and second, and make that 3. Opening picks, Spirit are stumbling. Magix and Sum Da-young, they're only 2 remaining players, and make that just Magix. Now, he has been a man on fire, and that's why. Look at his aim. Just carves out a path through 2 heads and nearly takes down Tabson. And with Zantara's pretty low, there was a way back in. It was fleeting, but there was for a moment. However, Big claim first blood in OT.
there was a point in this match where I said to you that Searson is 10 kills above anyone else in the server. He is now only 1 kill above Magic's. I think that alone tells you how much of a comeback that he has had individually. Not that he was playing badly before, but just how incredible he has truly been for this side. As said, I think the first time we saw them play Dust 2 in this tournament, he was the one that was subbed out. They couldn't have made a better decision to bring him back in.
Yeah, and having that faith as well, because yesterday, let's be honest, he didn't have a great performance overall. He was a little bit off. So for him to come back and show us what he's really, truly all about is massive. But some die young. Been a bit under the radar, decides it's his turn to take control. It's his turn to lock it down. And that AWP is on point. 4 kills go his way, and Dexter picks up the rest. Team Spirit may have lost the first round, but they come back with authority.
And they never really had the finances to get that secondary AWP in too many times, but this was clinical. Every shot connecting, trade kill initially, but then this defense of the site, the final shot as well, was a thing of beauty. Auto sniper for Tabson. They've got plenty to invest into this. AWPs on almost every single player, and Searson going to take the initiative to try and peek into long. Lots of counter utility expended, and he's stuck in the Molotov. In fact, the smoke only extinguishes half of it. It's a cruel mistress sometimes, and Searson suffers because of it.
Oh, it's so grim, especially in OT of such an important game. To lose Searson, the top fragger, your main star unit on Dust 2, to something that unfortunate that's going to reverberate, and there could be Spirit taking lead now. But the rest of Big have got to put that to the back of their mind and get their eyes on the mission at hand. They've got one through Xantares, but they've lost a secondary player, and they've somewhat funneled back. They still have a minute to play with, but it's the lack of smokes that's a bit of a concern to me, because you only have 1 smoke for the cross now. You need 2. You need 2 smokes for that cross. Otherwise, there's going to be a gap, and they'll know of this. I don't know if there's a smoke down somewhere around pit, but right now this is looking a bit grim.
And look at the positions that have been taken by Team Spirit. They're going peeking into mid. They're taking a lot of map control, and they're going to have short completely under their control while Dexter watches the cross. They have to try and run boost across this. It definitely doesn't look comfortable. In fact, the nade's going to land on both of them. It's perfect, but somehow Xantares still manages to get a pick.
Yeah, but they've stalled for so long that at this point, they know exactly what's coming up. The second that first smoke goes down and there's no secondary smoke, they have a good idea what's coming up. That's why the grenade was tossed in and softened them up so much. And even though Xantares got a pick, because there's still 2 or 3 players, it didn't really matter. It's unfortunate, really, but they didn't really back away. They had about a minute left. That's a beautiful flick from Mir. We didn't see it from his perspective first time around. But they had time, Tom. They could have actually pulled out of long. I think they had like a minute left, right? When all of the bloodshed had stopped on long.
Magic's is now the top fragger in the server, by the way. Just thought I'd add that in. Here we go. A complete change of pace. A quick push through middle. And actually, Chopper's got very far. It seems like they've been given this almost for free. A kill coming in onto Tabson has definitely made things problematic, and Chopper is just being patient. He spots the AWP. That's an easy kill. I don't know if they knew how far they got, but they are falling apart. It's left to Xantares once again, and this time he gets nothing. Searson, well, he can go for this. Money's not an issue. But at the same time, a 1v5, he's been fantastic, but this might be a little bit much to ask.
Yeah, he just had no hope. And although Chopper got loads of room through mid, a part that we maybe didn't catch as it was happening is Tizian pushed straight out of long, like literally straight away to T-spawn. And I think that was because they gave up middle to try and deal with that. He then got picked off. He was getting watched from Xbox, got wrecked. And so all of the kind of prowess they put into that fast rotation was countered by Chopper, was completely destroyed in transition and had 0 impact at all. And now Spirit have 2 chances to go to the grand finals.
Keto died.
Had to happen eventually.
That's awful. It's awful, but I appreciate it. 0 and 10, that's rough. He's had his moments here and there, as mentioned. Gets the opener when it came to round 31. He's got his friends with him for support. 18 to 16. This is it. Team Spirit, a chance to close it, to take themselves to the grand final once again, potentially maybe even get that rematch versus Gambit. I'm sure they'd love a second chance. And with their first showing with this roster potentially being a win versus the number 4 team in the world, we'll see if they can get it done, because until that fat lady sings, I don't think they're going to be given a chance. And while Double Ops invested, Keto, he's done well with the secondary boost over the top, and see you later, Magix, the danger man for Team Spirit, gone. And while they're not going to try and face this once again, they'll flee back towards the spawn.
Well, Magix is like worth 3 people at this point. Absolutely, that is a huge integral moment, a pick that they were desperately requiring. Chopper is low. Additionally, on top of that, they do have plenty of utility and time. But now grenades being tossed into long. 2 players here. Tabson will be the first one in on blue box. This is a really good crossfire. It's going to have to be some perfectly timed flashbangs to deal with this. Otherwise, this should be Big's round. Especially with a low Chopper. Especially as they're all together. There's going to be no secondary unit through on Catwalk. It's a massacre. It's a complete and utter massacre. They played this perfectly, Big. Absolutely perfectly. And that's a confidence builder. That's going to give them belief they can take this to second overtime.
Yeah, we've spoken about this, the resilience of this roster many, many times. They've come back versus Hellraisers. They came back on the first map versus Spirit. We know that, again, until the victory is up on that board, it doesn't mean a thing. Now, we're going to see the same auto sniper or purchase put in by the T side. The extra money, 16k MR3. But that is one hell of a shot. Mir shows a pixel to Searson, and he finally finds his 35th kill of the game. The only man matching him is Magix, this time still standing, but we could be seeing Spirit crumble under the pressure.
It has been a reoccurring theme, Tom, over the duration of this tournament. As they get in the lead, they're 1 step away. They find out their shoelaces are tied together, and they just trip over. Bigger a team that will punish you. Keto just making sure that Molly cannot extend any further. Deploys his smoke. Still a minute. Team Spirit have options, but they don't really have a huge amount of the map. Yes, they've got middle. They don't really have anyone playing on Catwalk. They don't have anyone out scouting through middle. We saw Chopper go super aggressive before. Yielded a lot of success, but now they're going to be smoking back out again, looking to isolate both Keto and Zentaris from the rest of the pack. But Keto, who's had a very slow start to Dust 2, is now picking up that slack, and he's making sure that he puts his team in a good position. Zentaris may go down, but a lot of damage is inflicted. However, 2 entries back-to-back open up the B site, and although Magix and Chopper are low, a post-plant means that it's very doable for them to take their spot in the grand finals.
Made it possible. The peek from Some Young gets rid of Tabson. It gives them a man advantage in a round that was just looking to slip away from them. Searson and Tizian coming from opposite angles. They've expected the peek, and now it's left onto the man with 36 kills to try and close this out. He forces an angle from Some Young, who's burning to his death, but he can't quite land the shot. Big, the number 4 team in the world, have just been eliminated by the brand new Team Spirit. I'm pretty sure that means almost every single prediction, bar yours and mine,